Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and in this video what I'm going to do is talk about how to connect your online Mongo database to your application. Okay, so bottom line is this. You need to get an online Mongo database provider. The main one is from Mongo themselves, so you just go to mongodb.com and you're going to sign up for a free account. The account is free and the databases are free at that lowest tier, and I'll show you how you do that. So I'm going to sign into my account. Sign in. Sign in. It's this. Okay. So sign into your account, and once you sign up for an account, when you first open up an account, you're going to have no clusters. Your clusters is basically one big database of databases. So you really only need one cluster for all your hobby projects, okay? But just to show you what you would do is you're going to click over here on Create New Cluster, and you're just going to let all the defaults. Like literally you don't have to change anything. It's going to choose the server closest to you. It's going to automatically be set up on the free tier, okay? So it should automatically be set on the free tier. You get one free tier per project, so right now it's not going to show me the free tier because I already have one set up, but it'll automatically be set to that one for the first one. So literally you don't have to change any of this. You just click Create Cluster, and it's going to take about 5 minutes for that cluster to start up. So then you'll have, once it's ready to go, it'll look like this. Okay? And now you have an online Mongo database on Mongo servers that you can use for all your projects, whether you're working locally or in production. Okay? The next thing you want to do is set up a user. So you're going to go to database access. Okay? And set up a user for your cluster. Okay, I already have a test user, but I still got 2 days of access. You can set it up temporarily. Just click here on add new database user. Okay, and then you set up a password. And if it's just a permanent user, just leave it. If you want to set up like a temporary user, like I do for these tutorial videos, you just go down here, set temporary duration. You can set like a user that's good for a day, a week. That's also useful if you have like a development team who's helping you and you only want to give them temporary access. Okay, cool. So once you have that set up, okay, then you will actually leave this for now. So just at this point we have it set up. We have a database set up. Okay, in the future you can actually go here to collections. You can actually look at the information in your database if you want. And the way this reads, this takes a second to load up. So each of these are databases in your main database. So your cluster is a bunch of databases. And then each of these databases have a bunch of collections inside of them. So in this case I have a collection of dogs, and then I can see all the individual documents in the collection. And I can actually create, search through those documents, create new documents all from here. So you can do a lot just from here, as far as seeding your data, etc. Okay, let me go back to my clusters. Okay, so now let's go back to here. Okay, I want to let's create a new folder for database. Okay, and I'm going to create a new folder for Mongoose. Okay, and what I want to do is I'm going to open the terminal in that folder. And just so you can set this up, to show you kind of how to connect Mongoose. Let me just actually close all these other files. Lots of files. As you can see, I do a lot of, all my little practice files for all the different languages are over here. For me to practice, do drills in different languages. Okay. So I'm going to create this setup project. So I'm just going to be I'm just going to call it db.js since we're just dealing with database. I'm not going to set up any servers or anything. Touch db.js, and I am going to then basically create a npm project, npm init. Oh, I didn't hit the -y. I'll just hit enter for all the defaults. That's fine. Enter, 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 enter. Yep. Okay. So my package.json is created. Okay, and again, look over here. That's my Mongoose folder that I'm working out of currently. I need to download the package you need to download to work with your Mongo database is Mongoose, so npm I for install Mongoose. And I also want to install .env because it's always a good habit to put your connection URL in your .env file. Oh, I ran into an error. Let's see what it is. npm I in the wrong folder. No self refusing to install package with the name Mongoose under a package name. Oh, because I named the folder Mongoose. So let's name it something else. Rename Mongo Prac. Okay, which means I'm going to need to close these terminals down. I'm going to reopen the terminal in that folder, Mongo Prac. Because again, npm will not let you install a package that has the same name as the folder that you're in. I always forget that part. Okay. So now it's Mongoose Prac. So npm I mongoose.env. And what's it complaining about now? Oh, the package is called Mongoose, so I got to change it into package.json. Mongoose Prac. There we go. That's complaining about the capital letter, so let's get rid of the capital letter. There we go. Now it doesn't have the same name anymore. So let's do that command again. There we go. Now let me create the .env file. Touch.env. Okay, there's the .env file. And generally what you want to do is create like a variable called Mongo URI. Okay, and in there we're going to put our URL. Okay, so to get our URL, you're going to click on connect. And you're going to click on connect your application. Then you want to choose the right language, Java, NodeJS. Okay, and 3.6 or later. Okay. So then you're going to copy this URL, because that's the URL you're going to use to connect. And nope, that's Java. Let's go back over here. Okay, and then you're gonna put it here. Okay, so it's in my .env file. Now, a couple things you need to do. You need to see everywhere there's carets. You have to fill in these little areas. So this is why you had to create like a username and password before. And then here we can choose what database. If the database doesn't exist yet, it'll create it. So you can just choose a random name. Okay, I will just call this practice. And I'll show you that practice doesn't exist currently. So the username I made was test, and if I remember right, the password was password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I might have to reset that just to be sure. Okay, but again, just to show you. It's loading. Okay, see, there's no database called practice. I haven't made that database yet. But once we actually use it, it'll be added. Triggers, database access. Here we go. Let me edit the test user. Edit password. Okay. So, password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And let me just make sure I did that right. Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Copy. Rewrite any base. Good. Update user. Whatever. Okay. Cool. So I'm gonna go put that in the URL. So the user was test. The password is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Good. Good. Okay. So that's in there. So now let's go to the db.js, and we're going to require .env because we need to grab that URL. So .env .config. Okay, we're going to bring in the Mongoose library. So const mongoose equals require mongoose. Cool. And then we want to bring in that Mongo URI, so const Mongo URI. I'm going to just take that out of the, actually I'm going to just destructure it. So I'm going to do Mongo URI equals process.env. So that way if we add more .env variables, I can just add them to the list of variables being destructured. Okay. So there's, and then next we just have to connect. Okay, so next what you have to do is there's a couple little things you want to do. So these are just some Mongo setup. stuff you want to do. One thing you want to do is create a variable called DB, which is going to equal mongoose.connection. This mongoose.connection is just an object that represents the state of your connection. You'll see how we'll use that in a moment. Then we also want to create a Mongo config object. You could call it whatever you want. It's going to be an object. We're going to put some configurations in there. You'll see what we need as we need it. Okay. And then we're going to connect. So Mongo connect. So this is going to be mongoose.connect. This function connects to your Mongo database. The main arguments it takes is first is the URI. So I'm going to pass in the Mongo URI because that's how it connects to your database. Then it takes in the configuration object. So we'll pass in the configuration object. And then it takes a callback of whatever you want to do once it's done connecting. Okay. So we'll just console.log connected to Mongo. Okay. Cool. And cool. So that essentially should connect us to the database. So let's just double check it. We'll run it. So we'll just do node test no db.js db.js, and let's see here. Yep, it got connected to Mongo, so good. It's connected to our database. But see, we got all this like deprecation warnings, which doesn't affect anything. But if you want that to go away, that's where you need the config object. It tells you what to put in there. So I need to add use new URL parser. I need to make that true. And I need use unified topology. And that needs to be true as well. Okay, and I think now let me restart the script. Node db.js. And see, now see, just connected to Mongo. Good. So we've connected to our database. Now what we want to do is put information in our database. Now, in order to do that, we have to create a model. And a model needs a schema. So think of a schema as how we basically, how do we define the types of information that are going to be saved in different collections. So I'm just going to create a quick schema for like a dog. Okay, so the way it works, and I'm going to actually deconstruct what I'm going to need here from Mongoose real quick. So const, I want schema, I want model, and I think that's good. And I'm going to take that out of Mongoose. Okay. So first we're going to make a dog schema. Make a dog schema. So notice I'm not doing this in Express or any type of framework. Mongoose works on its own. You can use it in any kind of application. It doesn't have to be a web server. You could just make some other thing that is going to work with your database. Okay. You could even just make a command line application that just works on your desktop and that you save stuff in a database. Point is, this library, Mongoose, allows you to connect to your Mongo database that you have on MongoDB, which then allows you to store information and get information. Okay, but we need to define the information we're storing. So I'm going to define this as a dog. So we're going to say const dog schema equals a new schema. And inside the schema constructor, we have to pass in our schema. So we'll just say name is a string and age is a number, and I'll leave it at that. Okay, we'll keep it real simple. Okay. And then after that, I have to make the dog model, because the model object is how we actually interact with the database. Make a dog model. Okay, so I'm going to say const dog equals new, no, it's not a new, it's just model. Use this function called model, and what the model does first, it takes a string, so you're giving it a collection. So where do you want to save it in the database? So I'm just going to make a collection called dog. Okay, and it needs to know what schema to use for that collection. So whenever I use this dog object, it knows that it's saving it in the dog collection and using the schema to determine what kind of information gets stored there. So I'm going to use the dog schema. So it'll only let information that looks like this. So if I want to pass a new information through this dog thing, I have to create an information that has a name and an age, and that's it. Okay? Again, think of your schema as your filter. It makes sure that you have the right information going in and the right information coming out. Cool. So then next, let's add a dog. So I just take my dog model, dog, dot create. There's all these different functions that are part of the Mongoose library that basically take place of your Mongo commands. Read the Mongoose documentation to get all of them, but this is the basic idea. Okay, dog dot create. We're gonna just pass in a new dog, and we'll just call it name Fluffy. Okay, age 4. Okay. Cool. And then what I could do is I could pass a callback right afterwards that would do something after it's done, but I'm not going to really do anything. I'm just going to make the dog and we'll just see it in the database. Okay, so let's see here. Control C. I'll kill the server. I mean, kill the script. I'm going to run it again so that we can run the new code we added. So it runs the new code. Good. So that should have been done. So I'm going to kill it. Now let me go to the database. Let's go back to my clusters. Let's go to collections. And it's retrieving the list of collections again. Okay, and see, we created, wait, no, that's cheese dogs. Let's see here. We created practice. Practice was the one we created. So there's dogs again in practice. And if we look in practice, we see Fluffy that we just made. Okay, there's the Fluffy object. And then if I want to get the Fluffy object, let's just do another command. So I'm going to comment that out because I don't want to do that again. So let's get all dogs. Get all dogs. So that's going to be dog.find. I'm going to pass in an empty object. Okay. And then we're going to pass in a callback. Which I always for get. What am I supposed to pass in here? Or I mean, I know one's the error and one's the list of dogs. So let's try it this way. Dogs error, even though I'm pretty sure it's the other way around. Yep, it is. So it's error first, and then the thing you get back next. So the thing I'm getting back is the list of dogs, so I'm going to call it dogs. Okay. So then we're just going to console.log dogs. Okay. So again, we find, this is our query, which means we're looking for all dogs because it's an empty object. Then we pass in a callback of what you want to do with that information. So let's run that. And see, it console logged Fluffy. It got the dog out of the database and gave us the array of dogs. So the cool thing is, once you have Mongoose connected to your database, you can just put in commands and do stuff with the database right here from your JavaScript script. So that's how you do it. Feel free to rewatch this video again, just to walk you through this. This is what brings in the Mongoose library. Again, I put the Mongoose URL in this variable Mongo URI, which I got from the .env because that's not a variable you want in your GitHub code. If someone gets a hold of your database URL, they can use your database. With enough database calls, you can end up with a bill. So make sure that's in your .env. Okay, I'm just grabbing the schema and model function. So that way it's in a standalone variable instead of me having to type in mongoose.schema, mongoose.model every time I want to use them. This is just the code to connect. Okay, you can actually create events. So like if you wanted to create like a function, something that happens when you get disconnected, or other types of events, there's a whole bunch of events here. So you can look up mongoose.connection to see what those events are. And you can create events that are triggered by those events. Mongoose connect, this is how we connect to the database. Again, schema, we have to create a schema like a filter for our information. And then we connect that filter to a collection using the model function, which returns the object that we use to interact, which in this case was our dog object. So that's a quick lesson on how to use Mongoose and connect it to your Mongo Atlas database. So thank you guys very much. Have a great day and enjoy.